Hello, this is Diego Mangabeira and welcome to Boring Sales. Today we're going to talk about converting LinkedIn connections into sales calls, okay? Growing an audience on LinkedIn is great. Growing an audience that generates revenue is the point of doing that on LinkedIn. So today we're going to talk about how to convert LinkedIn connections and followers into actual pipeline, okay? I see a lot of people who are really good on LinkedIn. They have a great profile. I do some audits on LinkedIn. I work with LinkedIn since 2005. So they're the standard, the outstanding people, but they're also the people who have a poor LinkedIn profile. So we need to change that. But at the same time, when we see a good person on LinkedIn and they post different or confused information, this is the reason why they're not generating business. Okay, they have followers sometimes, they get engagements on their posts, but people comment great posts instead of let's continue this conversation. Okay, but in terms of sales or commercial things, nothing happens. Okay, the gap is almost the same. They built an audience, but they never built a conversion path. And that happens in every single social media. There are some influencers, for instance, on Instagram or TikTok that have a huge presence on their market, on their niche. But at the same time, when they try to sell them stuff, they don't have any results. So they don't have any revenue. Visibility without a path to pipeline is just content creation. So the conversion mindset needs to have a shift. LinkedIn is not a closing tool, okay? It's a warming tool. That's the true goal here that we're going to talk to you. Your content warms people up, okay? Your engagement builds trust. Your DMs start conversations, okay? So the KPIs are different. And most of the time people are um, doing things or the tasks they were not supposed to do inside those KPIs. They start using LinkedIn as a closure point, but that's not the main goal for LinkedIn. Okay, the real conversion or the real conversation needs to happen, but needs to be applicable or apply. You need to apply the right tools or the right strategy on every single track. The mistake that most people do is waiting for people to spontaneously reach out and ask to buy. So they are more the hope marketing. They're waiting for the right client, the potential buyer, to ask him, or please send your link, your post to purchase your product, your service, your solution. Okay, and this is not a strategy. In terms of what really works well, in terms of sales, in terms of using LinkedIn to have sales calls, I have a framework that really works well for me. And I'm going to share these 4 stages with you. Okay. The first stage is related to the signal. Okay. The signal is related to someone is showing you buying intent without saying it out loud or even explicitly. Okay. They comment on multiple posts, they view your profile twice, they shared your content, they reply to your newsletter if you create a LinkedIn newsletter, they engage with a post specifically about the problem you solve. These are signals. Collect them, act on them. So pay attention on the signals that every single lead is showing you, because this is really what differentiates a good salesperson from another person who is not selling anything. Okay. The stage 2 from this conversion framework is the initiation. The initiation is like this: you reach out using the DM frameworks that we share here on the podcast, or BoringSales, or other strategies that we share here. The trigger from stage 1 becomes your opener, because, for instance, you saw that the person follows your newsletter, or he or she likes specific posts. You might try this sentence as well. I notice you've been engaging with my post on topic subject. Is this something you're actively thinking about right now? So yeah, you're bringing something unique, but at the same time, the person evaluates good for his or her business or for herself or himself. Naturally, it's relevant for the other person. Not creepy. You're not bringing something that the person is not thinking about, and because it's based on an actual behavior. Okay. Stage number three is the conversation. And this is what differentiates a person who has emotional intelligence in sales and not having that. I would recommend a lot of books. Jeb Blount's book about emotional silent intelligence in sales, or even Daniel Goleman in emotional intelligence. Okay, the conversation is really on LinkedIn specifically saying, don't pitch. Okay, ask questions, start a conversation. You're getting to know each other. Okay, what are you actually dealing with? What are you dealing with your business, your daily basis? What are you struggling with your clients? How are you dealing with these issues? Okay, what you have tried, what does success look like? That's a great question. What does success look like for you? If you try something different, what would success look like for you? Okay, so you're going to make smarter questions, ask smarter questions on this case, and then you're going to get better answers that you might use on your business, on your, even to analyze your own persona. Maybe you have a different or a wrong ICP on yourself, and when you start doing it, you're going to extract what how is going to help you with the right decision making process you're using on your strategy. Okay, your goal on your first DM here is exchange. Okay, earn a real conversation, not closing a deal. Like I said, the KPI, the strongest KPI that you might get on LinkedIn is to start those conversations, then migrate to a to a conversation external to LinkedIn, but start with a real conversation. And then you're going to ask, would it worth a 20-minute call to go deeper on this? So you already talk to the person, he or she's interested in having a conversation, then you move forward to a conversation via Google Meet, Zoom, or any other tool that you might use. Okay, no 20 minutes, not 30 minutes. Try 20 first instead, or even 15 minutes, because 20 minutes is a lower commitment than 30 minutes. Okay, and more likely you're going to receive yes. We tested this, and then we could say that this converted better than using 30 minutes. Okay, the stage number 4 is the handoff. Okay, move the conversation off LinkedIn, okay, into a real meeting as quick as possible, or ASAP. Okay, after you did all these processes. LinkedIn DMs are great for starting, okay, but they're not great for selling. And there are people who stay on DMs trying to close people, and that's not the work. That's not the the purpose. Okay. This is not. It's like, for instance, to use something, but there's no purpose to do so. Okay, it's like a key. You need to have a key ring, okay, with it, something that needs to be attached and doesn't make any sense. Okay, once they agree to a call with you, you can send a calendar link or Calendly, call.com, any kind of program, that Sales Loft program, and but don't get it lost on the thread. Okay, if you have a commitment, try to stay like that. Okay, so in a nutshell, there's a loop, the content to pipeline loop that you need to follow here. And we're talking here on this podcast about converting connections into sales calls. And what does that start? Your content, there's a lot of KPIs, so pay attention. Your content creates awareness. Okay. Your commenting creates familiarity. Okay. Your DMs start conversations. Your conversations generate calls. Your calls generate pipeline. Each stage feeds the next, but only if you're intentional about moving people through it, okay, forward. That's why every single step has its own purpose. If you use your content to, for instance, generate calls, most of the time you could create, but that's not the main goal for that. If you're using DMs to close leads, that's not the purpose of it. That's why you're trying to use, for instance, just a metaphor. When you are when you were a child, you were using childish clothes, and now you're an adult, and you want to use your childish clothes. You're not going to fit your body anymore. Okay, you need to be flexible on that, and at the same time to know the book. You need to follow the rules, and the rules are like this, boring as it is. That's why boring sales, because there are different types of KPIs in every single stage. Do not overpass it because of our ego, the way that you do things. Okay, try to be human. If I was going to try you some stuff, would you follow this? Because this does make sense. Okay, and even for yourself, you're not selling because you're not following the instructions. You're trying to use all what's better or what everybody's doing. If everybody was doing the right work, and since you were following them and using the same tools, you were supposing to do the calls or using you're supposed to have more sales, but that's not occurring or not occurring the way that you want. So this framework might work really well for you today. So I would advise you to try today. Okay. I wish you a great day. We'll see each other in another podcast, and keep it boring. Bye. Take care.